Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Lyric, and today I'm going to be sharing with y'all how I found out I was pregnant and my pregnancy journey. So yeah, let's get into the video. So I got pregnant when I was 19 and I conceived my son September 24th. It was between September 24th and September 30th, and I believe it was September 27th because I remember when I was getting nasty and it was that day. So the very first sign that I was pregnant were my breasts. They were super sore. Usually my breasts are sore like 3 to 5 days before I'm about to start my cycle, but my breasts were sore for like 3 to 5 weeks. At that time, I knew I could possibly be pregnant because I was messing around, and I decided to go to Dollar General and get a pregnancy test, and I got the cheapest one. It was like white and purple, and I went home and I took it and it was negative. I don't know why after I took that test and it said negative, I still felt deep down I was pregnant. So I just wanted to make sure. I called my checkup doctor and she gave me a pregnancy test, and it was the same one that I got from Dollar General. I did not know that before I went, and it came back negative. So I asked her, I was like, are you sure I'm not pregnant? Like, I really think that I'm pregnant. And she was like, maybe you are pregnant, but you're just way too early and your HCG levels aren't high enough. And I was like, yeah, probably so. So another week goes by and I'm laying at home by myself in my mom's bed, and I'm laying on my left side. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and I was getting like these intense cramps, and they didn't feel like regular cramps. They felt like more of like a stabbing pain. And what was happening was the takeaway. Some people call it the takeaway. The old people call it the takeaway, but it was implantation. Now, at the time, I did not know what was going on. I was freaking the fuck out, and I I just was like, should I call 911? Because like it wasn't like hurting, but it just felt like something was happening, like something was wrong. Not necessarily something was wrong, but I just felt like different, like something was happening. So that was going on for about an hour, and I just went to sleep after that. Eventually I calmed down, I brushed it off, and I was like, maybe I should just sleep it off. So slept it off. Next morning I woke up, I sat up, and I sat on the side of my mom's bed, and immediately right after I stood up, like I blacked out. My vision went black, and I kind of stumbled, not necessarily fainted, but I kind of stumbled. Now, at the time, my breasts are still sore. I'm still having a little bit of cramping, not bleeding or anything like that, but I'm still having a little bit of cramping. So after that happened, I was like, oh, hell no. I got up and I ran to CVS. We have a CVS in my neighborhood. So I ran to CVS. I didn't brush my teeth. I didn't wash my face. I didn't take no pee. I didn't do nothing. I like got my keys, got my card, and I went to CVS. I got a pregnancy test. I got a 3-in-1 first response. Paid for the test, got back home, took the test out the box, ran straight to the bathroom, and I peed, and it came back positive. My reaction when I saw the test, I mean, I didn't really react at all because I kind of knew I was pregnant, and everybody around me was telling me I wasn't, and every test was telling me I wasn't, so I was kind of like upset about that, but overall, I didn't really have a reaction. The first person that I told was my son's dad. I FaceTimed him and I showed him the pregnancy test, and he was pretty happy about it. And I had about a 2-minute conversation with him, and then I took a picture of the pregnancy test and I sent it to my brother. After I told my brother the news, he was super happy. He was like, congratulations. And I was like, thank you. You're going to be an uncle. And he was like, yeah. So after that, I texted my mom, and she was like, that's not your pregnancy test. Send a picture of the test with something in my house. And I was just like, okay. She was very in denial, so I sent a picture of something in the house with the pregnancy test, and she didn't really respond. And I don't think that she was sad or happy. I think she was more of like a shock, like she didn't know how to react. After a couple of days, she was very happy. She was very supportive throughout my entire pregnancy. She shared the news with my dad and my grandmother because I was more scared of their reaction than anybody's. So I don't know how that went or how they felt, but yeah. So after I told the news to everybody, I waited about another week and I scheduled an appointment with my OBGYN. I told them that I'm possibly pregnant, And they said, well, come on in. So I came on in and they confirmed my pregnancy. They said, congratulations. I got an ultrasound and he was super, super small. He was like the size of like a pea. He was so tiny. I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that's a baby. So my very first symptoms that I got while I was pregnant, the very first symptom that I got was me being nauseous at night. And it was started around when I was 8 weeks pregnant. It wasn't necessarily me being nauseous. It was more of like a queasy feeling. Like I didn't really get nauseous my entire pregnancy. It was just more of like queasy. So I got sick actually in my first trimester. I was 10 weeks pregnant and I caught the flu. And when I got the flu when I was pregnant, that was so bad. Like I was throwing up. My fever was up and down, like I had chills, like I just felt so sick. So after I felt better, the next symptom that I remember was me having super cold feet. Like I used to put heaters at the bottom of my bed. I used to have like 3 pairs of socks on each foot and it would not make a difference. My feet were so cold. It used to drive me insane, and that was like the very first sign that I knew I was having a boy, because I hear a lot of women say that they get really cold feet with boys in their very first trimester. The next thing that I noticed was my skin. It was super, super clear, y'all. I was glowing. My face has never been that spotless. Like I was just looking amazing. So around 12 weeks is when I noticed I could not eat pizza, anything with like tomato-y type of sauce or like marinara sauce I could not eat. Spaghetti, no. Pizza, no. Like anything with like tomato sauce, it wouldn't make me necessarily throw up, but it would just make me queasy and I just could not eat it. Another thing that I noticed that I could not eat is sweets. Like everything was way too sweet. Like even cereal was like way too sweet for me. And if you know me, like I eat sweets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Like I love sweets, but sweets were just like, I just could not eat them. Around 12 weeks, I wouldn't say that they were around ligament pains, but I started to feel my son get heavier in my uterus. So around 15 weeks, I thought I was getting a UTI or some type of yeast infection, and I called my OBGYN and I asked them like, hey, can I come in? I'm thinking I'm having a UTI problem. And they was like, well, sure. At that time, my OBGYN, my doctor, she wasn't in that day. So I was like, it's fine. I can just see anybody. So I saw this man and he was super, super nice, and he told me that I did not have a UTI, and I was like, well, why does it feel like that down there? And he was just like, well, your body's changing, your uterus is growing, and your body is going through a lot of different things, so it might feel like one thing, but it's really not. And I was like, okay. Now, when you're 16 weeks pregnant, you get to see the sex of your baby. And at the time, I was 15 weeks. And I asked him, I'm like, well, since next week I'm going to see the gender of my baby anyway, can I go ahead and just see if the gender is there now? And he was like, you know, sometimes it may take a couple of days before 16 weeks before you can see anything. I'm like, oh, I know it's there. I know it's a boy anyway. Because the heartbeat was like really low, and I knew. So y'all, I literally got on this man's nerves. I begged this man. I was like, please let me see a gender test. So he was like, all right. So I got into the ultrasound room and I got my gender test, and she was like, do you want to know? And now that I think about it, I really wish that she didn't tell me, because I really wish I had a gender reveal. They're so pretty, and I just wish I really wasn't so anxious to find out what he was. But so she took the ultrasound and she saw that it was a boy. I was so happy it was a boy. I wanted a boy so bad. I immediately called my mom and I was like, Mom, I'm having a boy. And she was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, why do you always think I'm joking? Like, I'm at the doctor. I just got confirmed that I'm having a boy. And she was like, no, you're not. Let me talk to your doctor. And I'm like, okay. So the ultrasound tech, she said, yeah, she's having a boy. My mom was like, it's a boy. I'm like, yeah. And we was like super excited. So I went home. Y'all, off the whim, I started shopping for boy clothes. Like, I was so excited. Like, I literally shopped for boy clothes all day and night. Like, I stayed up till like 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, searching boy clothes on Amazon and Walmart. So now we are in my second trimester, and I craved really healthy food, like salads and fruits all the time. I would always go to Chick-fil-A and get a Cobb salad or a spicy salad, and I would always get a large fruit bowl. So now I am around 20 weeks, and this is when I actually started showing. Before 20 weeks, I couldn't really see my stomach. Nobody could really see it poking out, but now I could actually see my stomach. He woke up, y'all. Shit. Around 21 weeks is when I started to feel him move. Now that I think about it, he was actually moving earlier than that, but that's when like his movements were really, really strong. I knew, okay, that was him moving. So around 23 weeks is when I started getting acid reflux. It would get really, really bad when I was laying down at night. So around 26 weeks, I could not really get comfortable at night. I couldn't really sleep after 26 weeks. I'm a belly sleeper, so after I got like super big, no, could not sleep on my stomach no more. I couldn't really sleep at all. I forgot to mention, throughout my entire pregnancy, I did have really high blood pressure. My ankles and my legs would get really swollen as well after 27 weeks. I didn't have preeclampsia or anything like that, but they would get really, really swollen after I stood for long periods of time, and they would hurt and ache super bad. I do remember in my 3rd trimester, I had acid reflux so bad. It would be terrible. Like literally, I would feel like I had throw up like sitting in my mouth. That's how bad it was. It would be worse if I laid down right after I ate. But the thing that helped that was I would drink a whole bottle of water before and after I ate, and I wouldn't lay down immediately after I ate, and that helped me so much. So I do remember at 35 weeks getting extremely bad back pains in my lower back. My body was just spreading, getting ready for birth, but they were extremely painful. So I had my baby boy at 37 weeks because my blood pressure was super, super high, and I didn't know if it was going to risk anything. So I insisted that I got an induction. I think it's induction. So yeah, now I am 22 years old, and I have a 1-year-old baby boy named Levi, and yeah. That wraps up this video, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any new content that's coming your way. Bye.